All right, well, we're going to get everything going for your Monday Night Raw review, your final Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania 37 this Saturday and Sunday night. We're going to cover everything from Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre to a supposed Rhea Ripley heel turn. We're going to cover that and so much more, guys. It is WrestleMania week. Let's get everything going right now.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis.
Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
All right, guys, and welcome to the WWE Podcast, and this is your Monday Night Raw review for the final go-home show of WWE's Monday Night Raw till WrestleMania 37. I mean, I can't say it's the go-home show, because that is coming, of course, this Friday night, as WWE labels it WrestleMania SmackDown. By the way, that's not a thing. It's not WrestleMania SmackDown. It is just SmackDown. Okay. And by the way, I am broadcasting live right now. However, I am broadcasting live from a separate app on Spreaker. I had on Blog Talk Radio everything set up, and lo and behold, the feed died. Not the normal hardware issues on my end, but rather a kind of a glitch in the matrix, so to speak, on the end of, I guess I'll blame it on Blog Talk Radio. But I am live on Spreaker, which I don't think I've ever done a live show on Spreaker. So I'm as live can be, and I hope I don't have any stutters or misnotions about wrestling that you may disagree with, or say anything controversial. But I can guarantee you all of those will happen right here live with no safety net, right here on the WWE Podcast. But guys, thank you again, and listen, big week coming up. I have a huge podcasting review show, two of them to do with YouTube's The Botch Guy, coming up Saturday night and Sunday night right here on the WWE Podcast. And we're going to be doing live shows then with Blog Talk Radio, and you guys will be able to call in, okay? You're going to be able to call in. I promise. It's that same number I gave you last week. If you don't know what that number is, it's on my Twitter feed at wrestling_audio. Check it out there, and you'll be able to get on with The Botch Guy and myself and talk about WrestleMania Saturday night and Sunday night. It's going to be a blast. I'm really excited for that. And go check out his YouTube channel, by the way. Hit that subscribe button and give him some love. I think you'll enjoy his channel. Beyond that, huge preview show with two co-hosts, Mimi and Anthony DeMarco. Mimi and Anthony will be joining me Friday night for the official WrestleMania preview. We'll get you on, Ashley, I promise. I didn't mean to misspeak there. Ashley, we'll get you on, I promise. We've got a lot of slots to fill when it comes to post-Mania, so that'll be fun. But Mimi and Anthony will be joining me on Friday night, so that's going to be fun. And then, of course, Thursday is your AEW review by Mimi and by the NXT review through Zach Smith. So a lot coming up, guys. There is just so much wrestling content. You guys are going to be just flat out sick of us by the time Sunday night rolls around and your ears have been completely completely destroyed by our content in the best way possible, of course. So, all right. Well, enough of that. By the way, if you want to join us on an ad-free experience, head on over to Patreon and get yourself set up and ready for this weekend and not have to deal with the ads and plugs and all that stuff that you have to deal with on the normal feed. On Patreon, of course, you can get an ad-free experience for just $1 a month, and don't have to worry about that. Head on over to Patreon or just search patreon.com/WWE Podcast. So, all right. Well, let's keep going here. Monday Night Raw was it was disappointing, but expectedly disappointing, I think. Monday Night Raw was a Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania, which would normally tell you that it should be a go-home show, that WWE puts their best foot forward and gets you super hyped up. And you're just elated. You can't wait until WrestleMania. That is normally how WrestleMania feels. But this year, I don't know, man or woman. It feels very different. It feels like the star power isn't there. Maybe that's what's missing. The lack of star power on top of some weak storylines coming into the pay-per-view, the biggest pay-per-view of the year. I mean, look at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. You have a storyline that is based on somebody calling somebody else stupid. You have a celebrity going against a 15-year veteran that we're supposed to believe is even comprehensible. We have another celebrity getting involved on the SmackDown end that we'll talk about again on Friday. But we have a women's division that is in shambles had it not been for Rhea Ripley being injected. You have a women's tag team division that is all hands on deck as expected for WrestleMania. You have a world championship match, the WWE championship match with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, that it feels like a semi big deal, but I don't feel like we're attached to as attached as we should be to this story. It's not a flop. It just feels kind of like, okay, cool. Two big guys, both alpha males, both badasses. Who can come out on top? And that's what it feels like. I don't feel an emotional connection for this. I just feel like a kind of a generic, I'm interested to see what happens feeling for this. Now, do I want Bobby Lashley to retain? Of course. But as far as the storyline goes, it's just there. Nothing special, especially considering that these two were opponents earlier in the year. I believe it was in the May pay-per-view. Was it at? It was right after WrestleMania, I believe, that they actually fought one another. And I was hoping at that time Bobby Lashley would become champion. And he didn't, and they waited until now. But they did fight each other earlier in the year. So there's that. I mean, it doesn't feel super special, like they've kept them apart. And now they're just bringing them together. So there's just not, I don't know, there's not that spark. There's not that unicorn that comes around for WrestleMania that makes you feel so excited. And look, I'm not trying to be down on WrestleMania to make you down on WrestleMania. I don't want my opinions to soil or poison your excitement for WrestleMania if you're excited. Because you know what? If you want a silver lining, if you want to be able to look at this and go, hey, you know what? This WrestleMania does, in fact, excite me. I think the arguments for that, or the reasonings for that, would be, well, it's a lot of young talent. There's a lot of young talent. It's not the veterans sucking up time, which is always a good thing. And this may very well be the first time we don't have anyone from the Attitude Era coming back for a match, or even Ruthless Aggression Era, for that matter. Who am I talking about? Brock Lesnar. As far as we know, he's not there. I mean, he may interfere. Or show up the Monday Night Raw after, but he doesn't have a match. We don't have John Cena. Again, guys, some of these could be appearances. Some storyline could start at this point at WrestleMania, but at least on paper matches. There, we don't have Brock. We don't have John Cena. The Rock has been in rumor mills for years now of coming to face Roman Reigns, and maybe he does do that in Dallas and WrestleMania next year. We'll see. But as far as this year, no Rock, no Austin, and Austin has said they haven't even contacted him to be a part of WrestleMania in any capacity. So no Austin, no Undertaker, no. I'm trying to think of who else is perennial. No Triple H. He kind of sticks his nose in every once in a while. This is, guys, like the first WrestleMania where there's no aged star power. Yes, you have Hulk Hogan. I could care less. I'm more interested actually in Titus O'Neil. I mean, really, I'm more interested and excited for Titus O'Neil than I am for Hulk Hogan to come out. And he's going to come out at the beginning of the show. You know that, right? Like, he's going to come out, you'll hear his music hit. And you know what? I think he'll get a generally positive reaction from the fans in attendance, those 25,000 fans in Tampa. I think he will, because number one, it's the first show back. People are excited to be there. You're spending a ton of money to be there. You're not gonna sit on your hands. You're gonna give the WWE a piece of your mind, for better or worse. And I think people will generally be excited to see Hulk. Will there be some boos? Probably. But I think he'll generally get a warm reception, and he'll come out and do his normal, what you going to do, and maybe make a joke about being in the Silver Dome, as he did at WrestleMania 30, when he hosted WrestleMania 30. Okay, so he's done this before. I see zero added value to Hulk Hogan being involved. I mean, really zero. In fact, I could argue that it's actually a net negative for him to be on the show, to be totally honest with you guys. It's perplexing to me that Hulk Hogan is on the show. I really would have had Titus O'Neil solo host the show. I really would have. I think Titus could have done just fine hosting the show, maybe taking a bump or whatever. But they need Hulk Hogan, who can't take a bump and has, the same 3 lines that he's been spewing the last several years in WWE whenever they ask him to come back. It's I don't know. I'm not big on Hogan at this point. It's beyond his welcome. Anyway, I feel like I don't mean to be souring the mood here, guys. It's WrestleMania season, right? We should be excited. We should be excited as fans because it's WrestleMania season. It is when anything can happen. It's when storylines culminate. But it just feels a little empty this year, doesn't it? Maybe that's a good word. It feels empty. And I don't know. I hope I'm not being too down, but that is a good word for this. WrestleMania 37 feels empty, even more so than when there were no fans last year. Now you could say, as I'm thinking about it, Edge is an Attitude Era star. So there goes my argument. But he's on SmackDown. He's on SmackDown in a triple threat. Right? It's not that it's not even doing one-on-one. So you could have easily done Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns at this pay-per-view. And he didn't come back for like a one-off. He's clearly in it for the next year or two and then calling it a day on his terms, which is exactly why he's doing his comeback. So anyway, guys, let's dig into Monday Night Raw and start talking about some of the details here, because Monday Night Raw was, as I said at the open, weird. Kind of ho-hum. And I have come to expect from WWE not to expect to be super excited in the go-home show. And I'm going to call it, this is the go-home Raw show. Okay, I shouldn't probably label this the go-home show because it's truly not. SmackDown is on Friday. But it's the go-home Monday Night Raw. And let me just start off with the women. Okay, the women's division, the tag team division, has been dominated mostly by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and you know what? They have done, to their credit, a nice job, if not an exceeded expectations grade for their work over the last several months. I really would. I'd give them that. I still believe that Shayna Baszler is a much better competitor on her own, not in a team. She is a much better act on her own when she's breaking people's arms. Remember that? Remember when she went on that tirade? I think she broke Sarah Logan's arm and somebody else's arm. I can't remember who it was. I think she was a local wrestler or an NXT trainee. I'm not sure of her name, but she was just breaking people's arms. I'm like, this is effing awesome. That is Shayna Baszler to me. When she is nasty, trying to actually hurt people, even if she doesn't win. It's even if her goal isn't to win, it's to just hurt people. That is the Shayna Baszler that I love. And seeing Shayna Baszler over the last several months, while she's getting a lot of airtime with Nia, and she actually has a championship around her waist, it feels still like she's being wasted a bit. Because we know what Shayna Baszler is capable of. And I think this has done nothing but benefit Nia Jax more than anything. So it'll be interesting to see after WrestleMania where they go with these two. Probably a match between them before they each go their separate way is my assumption, that both Nia and Shayna will have their separate story after they face one another and the inevitable breakup happens. So that's the tag team division. And yes, we're having a tag team turmoil match on Saturday night, which will lead to the winner of that facing the champions on Sunday night. So that's fine. I think that's fine. At least it's not a multi-team tag team match. That's the one good thing, which was my fear. My fear was that it was just going to be, every team for themselves, a 6-team tag team match, something insane, right? Every team gets a shot, and that's not the case. I like that. So that is one good thing. And then you have on the other side of the coin in the women's division, Rhea Ripley and Asuka. And Rhea Ripley and Asuka, first of all, I think the crowd is going to be 100% behind Rhea Ripley. I'm not talking like 50%, 60%, 70%. No. 100% behind Rhea Ripley. There might be that lone straggler fan that is there cheering for Asuka. And what's interesting to me is that WWE this past Monday night, last night, tried to position Rhea Ripley as the heel in this. To that I say, good effing luck, WWE. Good luck. Because you can frame this all you want. The fact of the matter is, it's going to be a 100% support for Rhea Ripley. Not just a little, not just overwhelming, but 100% for Rhea. We have seen enough of Asuka as champion. Yes, she is really the victim of just complete neglect booking on her end, on or on WWE's end, where she is the collateral damage, and by proxy the Raw Women's Championship all but forgotten. So I think all of us are ready to move on from Asuka as champion and to give the championship itself more attention. And Rhea Ripley ushering in that change is, I think, a universal want among the fans. I think it's not even close, just because of how long she's had it and how few times she's defended it and the lack of attention to it, all of it. And yeah, I do feel for Asuka because this is one of the most underwhelming runs as champion that anyone has ever had as champion on either brand for the women. It's sad. But my point is, though, with the crowd reaction or how WWE's trying to frame it, it's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. I heard some boos pumped in to the Monday Night Raw, quote, crowd of when Rhea Ripley turned on Asuka during the tag team match with her and Asuka versus Nia and Shayna Baszler. I heard some boos pumped in. And that is all you need to know about how they're trying to position these women. It's mind-boggling. But nonetheless, I expect a very good match. My full preview and prediction will be on Friday with Mimi and Anthony DeMarco. So that's really how I'm viewing it. And Asuka can talk about how no one's ready for Asuka, and but obviously Rhea Ripley is more than ready, and I think she'll take the championship. I don't think. I mean, it's an early prediction, but come on, guys. I don't think there's really any shot that she doesn't, unless they're going to try to just go full heel with Asuka, which she can play both. But okay, let's move on to another topic here, and I do want to talk about the Miz and Bad Bunny here. I have been a big critic of the Miz and Bad Bunny, and I've been rough on both. And I'm not backtracking at all. So let me just say that my disclaimer here is not to backtrack on those statements. In fact, I'd like to double down on them, but I really just have no real vested interest in this match, right? None. Now it's become a tag team match with John Morrison and Damian Priest. Smart move on WWE's part. It's a smart move on their part because this match between The Miz and Bad Bunny alone would have been, I think, a unmitigated disaster, booed out of the building by the fans. And I think the WWE knows that. They know the limited nature of Bad Bunny. He probably can do the basics, take a couple of bumps. He's been working, I'm sure. But the match for WrestleMania would have been a disaster. And yes, The Miz would have been there to cover, but I think the fans would have turned on it. So by making it a tag team match, they've added some real performers, real wrestlers into the equation to help mitigate the boos, to help make it feel like an actual match. And that's Damian Priest and John Morrison, of course. So do I think the outcome is going to change? No. I think we all know the outcome of this, sadly. But it was also nice to see The Miz attack Bad Bunny for the first time after he painted his Bugatti. Every time I see Bugatti, does anybody else think of the song? It's like, I woke up in a Bugatti. And I don't know. I don't know what song it is. Somebody can maybe reference it for me. Tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or not Facebook, but Twitter, wrestling_audio. I don't know. There's a song somewhere that starts or ends with that line. But he paints it, which clearly was not real paint. That was like watercolor. I mean, it was just watercolor paint, not real. And it's fine. I mean, if the car is that expensive, of course, you're not going to want to actually trash a car that is worth that much money in WWE. You have to fix a car of that value. But The Miz and Morrison, paint the car like children, and it's the usual, sophomore garbage that they've been doing for the last several, it feels like years now, I want to say. And then Bad Bunny gets wind of what they're doing and goes back and checks on his vehicle. Miz and Morrison attack him, which was really nice to see. I want to see Bad Bunny just like get bludgeoned. I mean, I want color on the dude. I want him to take a chair shot to the skull. I mean, I have zero interest in this dude. And I know many of you are fans of his or whatever. And that's cool. He's great in the music world. I don't listen to his music, but he belongs nowhere near a wrestling ring. And if he does, he should get a chair shot to the head. I will just say a worked chair. I'm not advocating for a concussion. I'm advocating for a worked chair. Maybe get like not real steel, get like a aluminum chair that bends. Okay. But I want a chair shot to the head. That would make me very happy. And then he has to blade and bleed everywhere. So I wish I was kidding. I'm not apologizing for that statement. I stand by it 100%. That's how much I dislike Bad Bunny. But he'd be a great heel. So he gets attacked, and then Damian Priest and we have Bad Bunny come out to the ring and address this whole situation. And Bad Bunny speaks more than he has in one period than he has in probably, since the Royal Rumble, which is what, 2-3 months ago now. It's been a long time since we have heard Bad Bunny really, if ever, really use his own words to speak and beyond the typical just kind of canned promo language that WWE gives him. They clearly just let him kind of go off the cuff here and just say whatever he wanted, which was half in Spanish, half in English. And normally I'd complain about the fact that he's speaking Spanish and we're like, hey, what the hell? I don't know what you're saying. But Asuka does it. And, at times we find it endearing. And I mean, it is what it is, especially if you're trying to bring in that other audience that Bad Bunny is supposed to be attracting to WWE, which I can almost guarantee you it's not. You'd like to be able to communicate with those individuals that you've brought over from the music world to the WWE landscape and be able to communicate with your fans if they are Spanish speaking as well. So I guess I understand his reasoning for wanting to speak Spanish, but I can also guarantee you that the majority of the United States viewing audience does not speak Spanish, nor do they fluently understand it. So I don't know. I found that kind of anyway, but he did deliver some messages. He was kind of all over the place talking about how, he used to watch wrestling and he remembers the greats watching with his family and his brother, watching Stone Cold and Ric Flair and The Undertaker, and all these legends. He even called The Miz a legend, and he said he respects him. I will inform you, The Miz is not a legend. Okay, let me just break some news to you. If you're as big of a wrestling fan as you say you are, you would recant that statement. The Miz is certainly not a legend in any sense of the word. He's long-standing. He's committed. I think he does have some level of respect amongst his peers. He has longevity. But legend? Nope. I can almost say that. I can say that with absolute certainty that The Miz is not at a legendary status. He's not even sniffing it at this point. Okay? He doesn't even have a sniff of it. So, I would just like to comment on that. But the Bad Bunny, I mean, he went on kind of a weird tirade, and it was too long for me. I think he didn't know where to go. I'll be honest, I've seen worse celebrity promos in my time. This is not the worst celebrity promo I've ever heard. There have been many, many other ones that have just been bad or eye-rolling. This one was just kind of like, dude, get to your point. You're rambling. Get to whatever you want to say. That's what I was waiting for. And The Miz, of course, talks about, he retorts. Bad Bunny gets in his limo and leaves, and Bad Bunny is left to his own devices and points at the WrestleMania sign. Because that's what you do when you don't know what to say. Or maybe there's a quota that WWE has. I can't wait until WrestleMania is over so we can no longer have anybody point to the WrestleMania sign. They went way overboard this year. I know that WWE does it every year, but this year felt extra special with their incessant need to point to the WrestleMania sign. It was rough, and it was used way too many times. But okay, let's move on here. I'm not looking forward to that match at all, other than maybe seeing John Morrison and Damian Priest in the ring. I mean, I would argue that The Miz and John Morrison are babyfaces in this match, just for how unlikable Damian Priest has become, and how heel heavy that Bad Bunny is. I mean, you don't roll up in a Bugatti, by the way, and make it supposed to be relatable to fans. Make it so that people are like, "Oh, cool, man! I have a car just like that." No, people are actually going to look at you as a spoiled, overpaid, and just obnoxious jackass. Like, that is what it screams when you roll up in a Bugatti like that. I'm sorry, it does. And especially when you just like pull up into the building, you're late for the show. Also, really, when you think about it, you're late because the show started like hour and some before then. I mean, so apparently, you're rolling around Tampa in a Bugatti. I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably digging this too deep. I never have to see Bad Bunny again after WrestleMania. I never have to see the WrestleMania sign after this year until next year's Rumble. So that there's a lot of good for this year's WrestleMania. You want a silver lining, as I put in the description of this show. Your silver lining is no Bad Bunny after WrestleMania. No more pointing to the WrestleMania sign. How about that? That's enough for me to watch the show. Okay. But speaking of trying to be relatable, speaking of trying to make people feel like they have a hero that they can live vicariously through, look no further, guys. Look no further than the ultra relatable Braun Strowman. I mean, there is nobody on the roster that I could look at and say, hey, man, I can relate to this dude. I bet you he got bullied in school and people were calling him stupid. How did he overcome that? How did Braun Strowman overcome all of that adversity, all of that just toxic venom spewed at him throughout his life? Man, I bet you he just cowered. Of course, guys, I am being completely sarcastic. What I'm referring to, as you watched Monday Night Raw, is Braun Strowman coming out and WWE having the audacity to claim that Braun Strowman was called stupid throughout his life and that he had to overcome it. What? And also transparently try to be the conduit where we can all live vicariously through you for all the bullying and all the times we were called stupid, that we can lean on Braun Strowman to guide us to the promised land and to overcome all those bullies and tell them, no, we're not stupid. I mean, that's what we were told. That's the message. That's the message we were sent by WWE. Braun Strowman telling us that he had people telling him throughout his life that he was stupid. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You know how I know you didn't? Because you're 6'7", 300 pounds. That's how I know. I highly doubt, very much, that anybody ever came up to you or even said to you from a distance, you're stupid. And even if they did, I mean, as a grown adult, are you really going to say, oh, poor me? Oh, man, that's going to light a fire under me. No. Does anybody, serious, I'm being honest. Throughout your adult life, okay, look, when you're in elementary school or grade school, some people call it, middle school, high school, yeah, that kind of immature crap where, maybe somebody calls you stupid. I've had it happen to me in my life. I don't think anybody has gone through life, especially their childhood, where no one calls you stupid. I can almost guarantee that, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about from when you're 5 to 15 years old, okay? I'm talking about when you're a grown-ass adult. Is anybody seriously still dealing with people in your professional environment or otherwise where they're still calling you stupid? I highly doubt it. I mean, in some cases, sure. Maybe you have an awful relationship with, I don't know, a friend or I don't know. There are probably some cases somebody out there is going, yeah, what are you talking about? I have somebody. Fine. You're probably the exception. But generally, as human adults, that's just not what you do. Okay, so for Braun Strowman to claim, and for WWE's logic to be, that we're supposed to live through this man that is 6'7", 300 pounds, that we're supposed to believe got bullied and called stupid throughout his life, it's embarrassingly brain dead. It's embarrassingly brain dead that we're supposed to buy into that narrative. It's laughable. It's laughable. But that's not going to stop WWE from trying. And we're all supposed to just kind of go with it, right? We're all supposed to just say, yeah, we want to see Shane get his ass kicked. And you know what? To be 100% transparent, I am interested to see the outcome of this match. I am. Because I don't dislike Braun as a performer. I think he adds value to the roster. It's Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon always throws caution to the wind. Okay, Shane McMahon gives it his all at WrestleMania. The premise, though, the where this whole storyline falls is in its logic. That's why fans don't care or are laughing at this. Is because the premise of this is outright stupid. How about that for a pun? It is. It's absolutely ridiculous on its face. There's no other way to put this. So, we get Braun Strowman, out there and, he's claiming for everybody that has ever been called stupid. Oh, jeez. Coughing and get me in my Braun Strowman voice. And I can't speak. Hold on. How about the benefit of going live there? See, now normally you guys wouldn't have heard any of that because I would have cut it out. But when we're live, we don't have a safety net. So I would do my Braun Strowman voice, but it'll get me all hoarse. So he says he's going to do this for everybody that's been called stupid. And, of course, we get Elias and Jackson Riker come out. And they are there to, once again, take a ass whipping from Braun Strowman. Because that's what they've been doing for a month now. So they get their ass whooped, and Braun Strowman botches the ending of this match. It was just kind of, it was a botch. I mean, it was just, this is bad. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match too. So Braun Strowman, does a power slam, another kind of, I guess, power slam, and then it was a weak ending. But message sent. Okay, I get it. Message received. Braun Strowman pins them both and stares down Shane McMahon. And that's the message that we were sent. So, again, I am looking forward to the physicality of this match and to see what Shane McMahon is going to do. And just, on some level, I do like Shane much better as a heel, so I kind of do want to see him get his ass kicked. I just despise the storyline and the insulting intelligence of this storyline. I think that is the worst part of it. It's not necessarily the competitors or their ability to have a good match and tell a decent story in the ring, but rather just like, really, this whole thing's based on two grown-ass adults, having this match because one of them called the other one stupid. It's, I guess the only compatible storyline that I can think of that this one mirrors in terms of just ridiculousness of how it started is when Shawn Michaels told Vince McMahon after Bret Hart had returned and buried the hatchet on that infamous Monday Night Raw. He buried the hatchet with Shawn right at the beginning of the show, and then he wouldn't bury the hatchet with Vince McMahon, or Bret Hart. I'm sorry, Vince wouldn't bury the hatchet with Bret. And Shawn came out afterwards, I think the next Monday night, and told Vince to move on or get over it or something like that. And that sent Vince off into a rage that would end up in those two having a WrestleMania match. I think it was WrestleMania 23. So that's the only comparative that I can think of, the only comparable storyline that I can think of that's at this moment that we have Shane McMahon now and Braun Strowman fighting because I called him stupid. Oh my God. It's ironic. The only thing I was thinking is they're missing a big diss that Shane McMahon could dish out to Braun, right? His name is Braun. I don't know why with this low hanging fruit here, you couldn't have just had Shane tell Braun that, hey Braun, I bet I know why your parents named you Braun. It's because he didn't have any brains. Or I'm surprised they didn't go that road. When Shane says that his parents knew how dumb he was, and so they just named him for what he is, or I don't know. There's a whole lot of brains and brawn puns that could have been made here, but I'm surprised they didn't go for it. Oh boy. Okay. Where do I want to go here? Where do I want to go? Bobby Lashley and Cedric Alexander. Good match. You know what? I really enjoyed this match, and it reminds you how good Cedric Alexander is. It does, because Bobby Lashley is, we all know the athleticism, we all know the just insane physique the guy has and has had forever. We all know this. But you forget how good Cedric is. And not just in a tag team, but one-on-one. Cedric is really good. Really good. And he put up a good fight against Bobby Lashley, I gotta say. More of a fight than I thought he would, but in a good way. I'm glad that they didn't just make it a complete squash for Cedric. He had some good shots to the head. He made, he made Bobby Lashley vulnerable at times. It was good. I know we all knew Bobby was going to win. That wasn't the point. It was, what story are you going to tell between the bell ringing and the inevitable Lashley winning? And I think it helped Cedric. I really do. Because I can't tell you the last time Cedric had, a one-on-one match on Raw? Especially with the WWE champion? Maybe never. So this was really good. Really good. I enjoyed this. And, of course, after the match, he attacked Shelton. Shelton Benjamin ended up in the Hurt Lock. Both guys ended up flat on the mat. And Bobby Lashley stood tall, which is what it should be. This was exactly what it should have been, and it was. So, okay. Let's see here. Riddle defeats Mustafa Ali, and as he should, because if the rule is, if you have a match coming at WrestleMania, and the opponent you're facing has nothing going on, even if they're an established star, you do the favors. So this is inevitable. Excuse me. Riddle defeats Mustafa, and let me just say this. I think this was a match wasted on convenience. What I mean by that is, as I said, this match, this Riddle and Ali matchup has much more potential than just being an enhancement match for Riddle going into WrestleMania. I think this has more legs than just, again, a elevation match for Matt Riddle heading into Mania. But hopefully they will revisit this program, because I think there's a lot here in terms, especially in ring. My God, these two could be. They could have a classic if given enough time, especially if they're ever on a pay-per-view. Given 15 minutes, they could kill it. So, okay, let's see here. All right, well let's talk about the main event. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin. Which I feel I don't even want to call him King Corbin anymore. I mean, he doesn't have any subjects. The King of the Ring was 2 years ago now. There's just nothing about him that screams king. Nothing. He's got nothing other than music that anybody can get to say he's king. Okay, we have MVP on commentary, which, by the way, I love MVP on commentary. I could have him out there for every match. MVP could just put a microphone in his face, and the guy's going to excel. No matter what you do with him or where you put him. So I love MVP on commentary. He's just so good. But in this match, again, a hard-fought match. This was a more hard-fought match for Drew than I thought it would be. Again, it was never explained how or why a SmackDown star is allowed to come to Raw, and I don't want to hear that. He's just cashing in on the bounty on his head. No, he's not, because you're a SmackDown guy. That doesn't exempt you from the brand split rules. It's just, I guess people are just saying, screw it, it's WrestleMania, whatever. I don't. I think this is a absolute disgrace that they can't maintain their own rules. I guess I should just expect it at this point. And you may say, well, who else is he supposed to fight? Well, Corbin is about as cold of a heel as you can get. I can't remember the last time Corbin had any real heat. Can you? Can anybody out there tell me the last time Baron Corbin actually had real heel heat where you wanted to see him get his ass kicked? I don't know. I don't know when that was. When he put dog food on Roman Reigns? I don't know. I just feel nothing for Corbin. He's good in the ring. He's good on the mic. His gimmick is dry. I think his gimmick needs a little bit of a refresh. And he needs to actually build heat. WWE cannot keep heat on this guy for more than one episode. They just blow it off and always make him the butt of the joke or looking up at the lights. He can't ever gain heat. So how is he supposed to be a heel if he can't get the fans pissed at him? I think fans see Corbin and kind of groan. And groan in a way that's just boredom groan. I'm not saying Corbin's a wasted talent. I think Corbin has a lot to add to the product, more than we probably see right now. I just think Corbin has been pushed to the side for quite some time and needs a refresh, not a total new gimmick. Okay, I'm not asking him to come out and start being Rikishi. I'm just saying that he needs something different, another spice, some kind of flavor added to his character, because it is as stale can be. So, all right. Well, Drew ends up on top, of course, as expected, and he points to the WrestleMania sign, and Drew McIntyre or Baron Corbin loses. We have Bobby Lashley come out and stare down the champion. At least it wasn't a tug of war to go home for the pay-per-view. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in one of the worst go-home shows of all time for WrestleMania, specifically, when Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar were facing each other, I think it was for WrestleMania 31. I believe it was WrestleMania 31 when the heist of the century with Seth Rollins cashing in happened. And we had, to close the show, mind you, the lasting images of the show were having Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in a tug of war over the championship. They were trying to pull the championship out of each other's hands, I guess as some kind of symbolic gesture. They're trying to rip and pull the championship from one another. They were literally standing there just tugging the championship back and forth. It was bad. That was probably the worst I have ever seen from WWE in a go-home show to WrestleMania. That was really bad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please YouTube it. It is... you talk about just doing something for the camera and doing something because it was in the script and doing something for WWE.com for a photo shoot. That is exactly... We watched a live photo shoot on Raw. That's what that was several years ago. So I encourage you to go check it out. You'll get pissed. and you'll probably say a few words, a few 4-letter words, but it's that bad. So noticeably absent was Charlotte Flair. So let me talk about that first. Charlotte Flair is not at WrestleMania. And again, just like with Brock Lesnar, just like with potential John Cena floating out there, does that mean she can't somehow be involved, come out, interfere, screw somebody over, help somebody win? No. It doesn't. And it's a possibility. When I say it's likely, I wouldn't say likely. I'd give it a 1 in 3 chance that Charlotte ends up somehow interfering or showing up at WrestleMania just to confront somebody, stare down, and as kind of a symbolic gesture to say, hey, this is the next program, whatever. But it's hard to imagine with Charlotte Flair back in action, if she is truly over COVID, which she has to be. It's been weeks and weeks now. And she's healthy. Why they don't have her on the show. And Michael Gross and myself, who covered the Week in Review with me on Sunday, speculated that this could be punishment for being with Andrade, as Andrade had recently asked for his release from WWE. It was initially denied, and then it was granted. And so perhaps they are punishing Charlotte in part for being with Andrade. Now, WWE would never admit to it, and maybe it's not something that's said out loud. It's kind of the quiet part that you don't say out loud. But in certain circles, I'm sure that may not have been or would have been a factor in her not appearing at WrestleMania. If everything else is as normal, right? She's over COVID and she is fully healthy and able to compete in a match. It's just really, really head scratching that she's not involved at WrestleMania. Just as Keith Lee, not involved at WrestleMania. Like, what is going on? I'm sure there's a lot of private things they can't discuss. And look, cool, they've got their own privacy. They're human beings. Maybe they do have personal things we have no clue about. We're not privy to. Right? Maybe there is. We all think we know the whole story when we're on the outside reading news websites, talking, right, doing podcasts just like this one. But we really have no idea. We don't. We can speculate, and our speculations could be true, may not be. But from everything we hear about people that leave WWE, about how toxic some of the environment can be, and how they have their select group of people, and how they will never allow somebody to get bigger than the company again. That was said by Triple H, by the way, I believe. That they will never allow somebody to get as big as John Cena was, where they're bigger than the company. Or as Stone Cold was, or The Rock, or Undertaker. Nobody, they said, will get that big again. And that's by design. If I could pull up the source of that, I don't want to just talk out of my ass. I would love to find the source of that interview, or the source of that text. Because if that's true, which I actually do believe, that WWE doesn't want to actually, they want to get people over, but they want to be able to control how far they get over. That speaks so many volumes about where management's head is at, about the micro control over their stars, about not allowing anybody to get leverage over them. And that's really what it's about. It comes down to leverage and control and power. Because when you get as big as John Cena was, as big as The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin were, and others, I mean, Rock or Undertaker, even Kane to some degree, although he was never, I don't think Kane was a guy that was like, mega over. I mean, in the early 2000s, late 90s, he was, but as his career started to wane, I think his popularity did as well. But big names like that, when you're that big, you have the say over what you do and when and where and how much you get paid. WWE does not like to relinquish that control. The perception is, and everything we've heard from interviews from Jon Moxley, Big Show, that have all left WWE and gone to AEW, have kind of confirmed this culture, right? That they throw the carrot out there. They make you believe that you can achieve X, Y, and Z if you just do what they say. And at the end of the day, they go with somebody else. Now, again, I'm not saying the entire roster feels this way about WWE, but when talent that leave that are respected and have been there long time, even especially Paul White, Big Show, 20 years the guy's been there. I believe he debuted at the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1999 when Stone Cold faced Vince McMahon in a steel cage match. That's how long the guy. So 22 years the guy's been there, and then leaves for AEW. It just kind of confirms everything that we think we know about WWE when they give you that insight. It can be a very toxic environment. So, all right. Well, I don't know how I got on this tangent. See, I just go on these damn tangents. But I actually do believe that. I really do believe that they will sacrifice the potential of somebody getting that over. And the benefit of that, of getting that over and maybe being bigger than the business, just so that they can maintain control of their talent and not have to deal with the rogue mega talent that they'll be able to call the shots, not WWE. That I really believe that. And that's just sad. Okay, moving on. Xavier Woods versus AJ Styles. So, again, as you know, watch Hulu. This was not on Hulu. AJ Styles hasn't been on Hulu in like 4 weeks. But here's the description of this match. It says, before Raw Tag Team Champions The New Day engage in a WrestleMania title showdown against AJ Styles, Omos, Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods went one-on-one with the Phenomenal One on Raw. When Styles locked in the calf crusher, Kofi goaded Omos into chasing him, a distraction that led Styles to release the maneuver and allow Woods to pick up the victory with a quick pin. Okay. I think that's, it's just a wrestling match. This is, it's weird to say that AJ Styles is in a match at WrestleMania that is barely being promoted. I mean, barely. You talk about doing the bare minimum for this. That the Raw Tag Team Championships are being just completely disregarded, aren't even being shown on Hulu. And yes, they have to cut the show because it's 90 minutes, but still. I have no doubt that this match at WrestleMania is going to be interesting, especially with the debut of Omos, so I guess that's the hook. But with AJ Styles in this match and Xavier Woods and Kofi, you're going to have that, at least that end of it's going to be very interesting to see and fun. But I don't know. This is a program that I don't really particularly feel any emotional investment in. Maybe they'll pull me in during the match, but as this goes, I don't have a whole lot to say. I just don't. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I may have covered everything. I'm looking at WWE's full Raw results, and I think I did cover everything here. MVP got punked out by Cedric Alexander and Shelton. That was interesting to see. I think that's it, guys. I think that might do it for now. I'm sure I missed some interviews or things that happened backstage that maybe aren't on the full Raw results. I'm on WWE's website, by the way, so that's how I know I'm getting all the full Raw results. But we are live, guys, by the way, and maybe I'll do another Spreaker live show, but for now, for Saturday night and Sunday night, and maybe before that, we'll see, because this is like a recording frenzy this week. I will be doing Blog Talk Radio. The links will be posted on wrestling_audio on Twitter. Tomorrow is my mailbag, so if you want to get in your questions or comments, hit me up at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. You can send your voicemail through there or just send us a message. And I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then, of course, the rest of the week is just bonkers with every day has a show. I mean, I don't think from now through Sunday, we have a show, at least one show every day. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, every day is going to be a new show in your feed. So it's going to be a blast, guys. Head on over to Patreon and get yourself all set up. With $1, you get the entire library ad-free. Shout out on this show. Again, I'll be adding a ton more little goodies to Patreon very soon. But if you want no ads through WrestleMania season, that's where you go. And I think you'll enjoy it. So, guys, thank you so much. You'll be hearing from me very, very soon. Until then, I'll talk to you next time.